Hi, I'm Joel Hoffman. I'm Vizcaya's Executive Director and CEO. In that capacity, I am responsible for overseeing many different aspects of Vizcaya's operations. And really, I would summarize that as the work that we do to preserve the property, its buildings, its collections, its living collections. The work that we do to ensure that Vizcaya is a relevant and engaging resource for our community, and then all the other stuff that goes along with it to make sure that the organization is staying afloat financially and otherwise. I've been with Vizcaya for 17 years, but I first moved to Miami over 25 years ago in the mid-1990s. It is kind of amazing thinking about Miami's evolution. And when I first came to Miami and thought about living here, it was certainly a major city, but coming from the Northeast, it felt much smaller and much more on the brink of something big happening. There were still many areas that are now incredibly developed that were much quieter. And on the cultural scene, I'd say there was really a sense that if you had good ideas and a passion to make something happen, that you could really have an imprint on this community. I think to a large extent, Miami is still a much more open place than cities that have been established for a longer period of time. And I think it's incredible being in a community where we are both seeing well-established organizations like Vizcaya really kind of mature and take on a new life and really think about how they can be here in a meaningful way for the long term, but also seeing new opportunities just continuing to arise. I'll also say as the overseer of perhaps Miami's most beloved National Historic Landmark, at least it is most beloved for me, there's really a sense of how the physical landscape has changed in the city. And, obviously there have been so many rapid waves of development here in quick succession, one after another. Coming from a city like New York, which was, every square inch was more or less developed, change has seemed so much more incremental and gradual. But in Miami, the change has, just occurred in a way overnight. Now, granted, I mentioned I've lived here for 25 years, so that is certainly not over life. That's a big chunk of a lifetime. But the sense of rapidity is kind of amazing, and the sense that you can walk places that didn't exist in their current incarnation 10 years ago, but have now just become this, thriving, bustling place is kind of astonishing and exciting. I've been at Vizcaya for 17 years, which is a lot longer than I honestly ever imagined being at any one job. It's been an ongoing adventure, and the challenges are always different. But a unifying theme since I've arrived at Vizcaya has been really working hard with our colleagues in the community to understand how to make this a much more relevant place, a place that is not just about the past, that is not just about the specific incredible people who created Vizcaya, but really tells stories and brings people in to learn about things of a wide variety and, a far-reaching impact. So, I think in the past there was a sense that Vizcaya was a place where you would come and learn about the decorative arts. Vizcaya has this incredible decorative arts collection. As far as large houses of this period go, it is unusual in the extent to which Vizcaya's collections are intact and really represent what would have been here 100 years ago. We're so fortunate to have them, but the organization is about so much more than that. So our focus in recent years has been very much about how to open up the story and the history of Vizcaya to address people and topics who may not have been front of mind, in the first 50 years of Vizcaya's history as a museum. And we have a lot of work to do there, and it's exciting work. And I also see Vizcaya, because of its location in Miami, because of its position on Biscayne Bay, as a great place to facilitate dialogue on issues relating to climate. I think climate change can be such an abstract, daunting topic, but when you think about it in the context of Vizcaya, a really knowable place that is a symbol of Miami, and you think about how much is really at stake, you can kind of have that conversation on a more emotional, accessible level. Being environmentally sustainable should come naturally to Vizcaya because it is a place that is inherently about preserving cultural resources and natural resources. And Vizcaya's future is obviously inextricably linked to that of the community in which it resides. We are clearly at a point in global history where climate change is incredibly dire. Miami is at the forefront of that, and for years, Vizcaya, this fragile property on the edge of Biscayne Bay, has been sort of understood to be sort of a microcosm of that. People have always wondered about the impact of sea level rise and climate change on Vizcaya, and so I think it's incredibly important as we move forward that Vizcaya really continue to embrace environmental sustainability as a core pillar of its vision. For Vizcaya to have a future, the community in which it resides must have a future. And so our work in this realm has been on a couple of different fronts. We continue to commit to decreasing our environmental impact and to adopting more sustainable practices. I'm hoping that in the future we will be able to really introduce our visitors to that work. For example, we're just about finally to kick off a composting program, which is great in terms of the work that we are trying to do, but also a great opportunity to reach the 300,000 people who come here every year. It's an exciting time for culture in Miami. So many new things, so many established things kind of coming into their own. And it's going to be an important time for the community to really nurture these organizations, make sure that they survive and really embrace them and challenge them, including us, to do things that are meaningful to them so that cultural organizations like Vizcaya are really valued for the long haul.